lenders right now in San Francisco, they do loans that they don't require pre-sale requirement, but they also require you to put up a little bit more down payment. But in terms of, like, do we understand condos? Do we, like, are we making, I wouldn't use the word aggressive. I think that we understand the market better than some of the other players because I know that I've been involved with those folks. They know what they're doing. They're not just making a decision because we want to get the deal, we try to please the builder. They make a lot of make sense decisions. If they don't feel comfortable approving a deal, there's a reason behind it. And that's part of my job that sometimes I step in, try to work with them and try to negotiate with them and try to see if we can work this out.
Very good information you present to us. You should have come here 1 year ahead.
Kimber won't let me come in here.
Because I think I would advise everyone here to come to you or go to you to talk about this project approval program. Because I think about 80% of those condominium complexes in Daly City all have litigation problem, and no one can get a loan. So all those listing agents expecting cash deal. I have quite a few buyers looking for condominium, put an offer there, but fail to get a loan because no lender giving out a loan because of litigation.
Listen, I want to do a disclaimer. Do we do project with litigation? We do it occasionally. Like I said, we have a project right now that when you look at the form, one of the questions they will ask you, does the project involve any sort of litigation? The question litigation is real broad.
Yes.
When we call the association and say, what type of litigation do they have? Is it construction litigation, defect litigation, or slip and fall? It turned out that like with someone slip and they're suing the association for $25,000. The unfortunate part is they check the box and they say there's a pending litigation. So we go through the process. The stuff that we ask the borrower or the association to provide is a letter from the attorney stating that the nature of the litigation. Number two, we want to make sure that it's a slip and fall is covered by the liability coverage. As a lender, we don't want to prove it because we have certain liability. We pass it on to Fannie to look at it because like we don't want to have the liability because Fannie was real specific about that. There's a litigation. They don't care about what type of litigation. They want to bless it. So we show it to them. It's a $25,000 litigation. There's no structural defect. They approve it. To answer your question, that if you have a structural litigation, chances are at this market right now you're not going to get this thing approved. We have a project that I think someone brought me the deal yesterday that the association and the insurance company are coming to a $10 million settlement, but they haven't started to work. So it's kind of technical that like when you fill out the form, do they still consider they have a litigation? We don't know. So, but again, if we knew about there's a litigation, they check the box of litigation, then we have to deal with it. But if they don't, let's say for instance they consider this settled, and we don't, we can get the project approved, we're not concerned about. But if they have a litigation that just settled, they start doing the work as a project, then we might have some issue. But we kind of look at it, like I said, we make a lot of make sense decisions. If they doing, like there's another high-rise building in downtown that they have, I think they settled with over $20-some million, litigation with the insurance. But they doing work that's non-structural. They just basically replacing the window. There's nothing wrong with the window. They think the window will not last for 5 more years. So they're doing structural improvement to the building. Our people look at it. First of all, there's enough money to finish the job, and we don't consider it as a structural defect. They're basically improving the condition of the property. So we went ahead and approved the project. So to answer your question, do we, are we scared of litigation? Yes, to a degree, but at the same time, if we understand, we feel comfortable with it, we will do it. But again, when you have litigation, you're right. I mean, you come across a litigation, a project that has litigation, you might want to get it pre-approved just because you might get excited getting a $1 million listing, but there's no financing. That means you only end up dealing with the cash buyer.
The other thing with litigation is that if you have a true conforming, which is under 417, Fannie Mae does have a what they call limited review. So if your buyer has 25% down and not all cash, and on the appraisal there's no mention of litigation or MLS listing, there's no mention, we may not know about it. And with limited review, we don't need a condo search, so it may go through. So there's a lot of, like I said, I mean, just it's not all have to do with cash buyers. So there's a lot of different things that you might not know, but as a loan agent, we would know about that and say, hey, you might look at, taking an owner-occupied with 25 or 30% down, and maybe you get away with it.
Talking about cash buy, REO, so, again, I don't wanna bore you a lot of information, there's also a requirement about when someone buying all cash, you might, as an agent, a lot of you guys might get excited, say, hey, I got a cash buy. The problem is, when you advise a client put in cash, there's also a seasonal requirement right now when they can pull out the cash. So for owner occupied, usually they're taking anywhere between 6 months to a year before they can do the refinance, pull out the cash. So you gotta be real careful that, because I was doing a presentation at Chuck Oliver's office down in Vegas City, and I was talking to one of the agents, he got so excited about, I got a cash buyer to purchase a $300,000 condo. So obviously I'm a loan guy, the only way we got paid is getting a loan, so I try to talk him into, getting a loan. He said, oh, no, I don't need a loan, it's gonna delay my process, because we all want to get paid like very next day because we got a cash buyer. But I told him that if someone's putting $300,000 down on this particular unit, it'll take him at least anywhere between 6 months to a year before he can pull out his cash to buy a second unit. If you think about it, he's well qualified, the project is financeable. Why come to us and take 30 days? I can double your commission, because instead of putting $100,000, 100% down, the guy may only put 50% and save the money to purchase the next unit. So in terms of cash buyer, I know that a lot of times that you guys still listening that, first of all, cash buyers only because of the condition of the property. One of the programs that we have is called a Fannie Mae 203K program, that is a renovation product that allows you to finance the repair. There's two types. One is if it's under $35,000, it's a limited repair that, the repair can be done within 30 days. Some minor repair. It's probably doesn't really work a whole lot in San Francisco, because if you have $35,000 in this market right now, a lot of people either want to take care of this thing or not dealing with the 203K. But if you have, someone that has buying a total fixer-upper, make sure that there's not a structural defect. You can actually finance it. We can do it. We can finance. Our loan will be based on the future market value, which is 110%. So throw some number. If the property is, you're buying it for $80,000, but after it's completed, is worth, $90,000. We can actually base our loan based on the future market value, no more than 110%, and we can finance the construction, finance the repair. But again, bear in mind that if someone don't want to do the repair, putting a new, jacuzzi, and that doesn't fall into 203K. Has to be, the corrective work to build the property up to code, or improving the health and safety issue. So let's say someone that need to have, let's say you're buying a property right now with no kitchens, or they took away the bathtub. In most cases, lender will say that we can't, it has to be all cash, or they do all the corrective work before we can close escrow. 203K is one of the programs that you can utilize, that we can go and close escrow. With an estimate from the contractor, with a plan, and then we can actually close it, and the work can be done. Can we start it within 30 days after close of escrow? And we expect you to finish the work within 6 months. And then usually on that particular project, that type of loan, that there's no payment for during the first 6 months when the property is under the construction. There's some limitation, but again, I don't want to bore you with all the information. Just bear in mind that if you come across a project that need repair, if you look at the listing here, that all cash buyer, then sometime you might want to consider offer the client a 203K. I know that there's also myth out there, before I wrap it up, and a lot of people that in our community that don't want to deal with a buyer that with an FHA loan. I think if you think about it, someone's coming with 3%, 3 or 3.5% down, they have a tendency to make a high offer comparing to a guy putting all cash. So if you're working with a reputable lender, don't get scared just because it's FHA, because you work with someone that have no experience, maybe you have some bad experience in an FHA loan. If you work with someone that, you see, someone that put in FHA, as long as the guy know what he's doing, especially coming from a direct and reputable lender, it's a good loan. Most of the time that when people putting 3.5% down on FHA, I'm sure that if I'm the buyer, I want to make sure that I'm willing to pay a little bit more, as you're going to make your seller happy. At the same time, your commission is also based on the sales price, that it's a win-win situation for all of us. I'm sure that if you see a cash buyer, you much rather take the cash buyer offer, but cash buyer used to tend to pay maybe 5-10% below the asking price. So Again, I just want to make sure that, because I feel really bad about, when I put up the MLS listing, a lot of time agents say, well, no FHA, no VA, but there's really no particular reason behind it, because a lot of time people say, oh, I just heard all this horror story about FHA, because